My name's Tom Scott and I'm Boston Limited's keynote speaker for the CI UK Conference 2016. The last few years have been really good for science communication because we've had YouTube come along and go mainstream. Like, YouTube's been around for 10 years, but for the last few years we've seen access to it open up to a whole load of other creators and a whole load of other viewers. And it's just become standard that you can go there to get answers to questions if that's the way you learn. If you learn through reading, then you've had magazines for years. If you learn through teaching, then you've had school. But if you learn through that kind of visual, self-paced mechanism, there really wasn't anything for that before now. The momentum we've got at the minute can only be kept going by people being interested. Ultimately, if it turns out that in 10 years, if in 10 years science falls out of fashion with the public, or more so, then yeah, that's not going to help. The only thing that can keep the momentum going is people being interested in science and having good teachers to make them interested. One of the big problems that we've seen, particularly in the last few months and years, is that the algorithms that determine what's good content, what gets sent out and shared through Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and through everything, can't tell the difference between something that's true and something that is a flat-out lie and something that's somewhere in between. And that's always been the case. You know, newspapers and journalists were always the filters, and if they weren't good at their job, then you found some very dodgy stories in the press. But lately, a lot of folks have realised that you don't need to tell the truth to get clicks, and clicks are where the money is. Some of the most interesting developments in science recently, for me at least, have been about big data. We're seeing increasingly companies who would have spent ages trying to fine-tune algorithms and work to make the most efficient possible thing, are just realising that they can just buy an enormous amount of processing power and hard disk space cheaply and just chuck that at it instead. We're seeing, brute force isn't the right term, but we're seeing essentially brute force solutions to some really complicated problems, particularly in computer imaging, in medical. I know Google DeepMind is doing some really interesting stuff with health data, and there's some interesting privacy details there as well. But suddenly, HPC and big data can apparently solve a lot of stuff. We don't know what the biggest contribution to science has been from technology in the last few years. There's no way of knowing until we get to 20, 30 years down the line and we can look back and go, oh, it was that researcher, it was that company, it was that decision that unlocked so many other things. If you'd have looked back at Google when it was, two engineers in a shed somewhere, then you wouldn't have known what it would have been. But we can now see, now it's decades later, oh, that was what changed the world. And I am looking forward to finding out what it was. I am bad at making predictions about the future. I have no idea where we go from here. I can tell stories about the future, I can give one plausible path, but there are so many ways we can go from here, and there really is no way of knowing what comes next.
For more tech videos, blogs and information, subscribe to our channel or visit boston.co.uk.